Ron, who is in your power rank?
Yeah, it's not major changes. Just one new team in, which is Philly. But I got Detroit at 1. I think I had Kansas City there before, and I know Kansas City really didn't do anything to lose that spot. But I think I'm just impressed with how Detroit's playing, so I put them at number 1. I put Kansas City at number 2. Buffalo I got at the 3rd spot. Green Bay I got at number 4. Baltimore I dropped them to number 5. I'm trying to see where were they at last week. I had Baltimore at the 3rd spot last week, so I dropped them to 5. Minnesota, with their loss, I moved them down to 6. They were at 4 last week. Pittsburgh, I moved them up to number 7. I had them at number 9. Houston, I got at number 8. Washington at number 9. And Philly, moving in, like I said, into my top 10. They're at number 10. I moved Chicago out. They should have had the win against Washington. And they blew it at the end. Now, I don't think they're that far out of the top 10. I still think they have a decent team, but that loss is inexcusable to me. Should have won that one. So I moved Philadelphia in.
I don't even see Chicago in the top 20. I think they're in the bottom 10.
How can you say that, though, do you think they should have beaten Washington?
No, because they played bad for 3 quarters.
But were they not winning the game with basically?
I mean, they should have scored. Technically, they should have scored 2 touchdowns because they decided to give the ball to a lineman. They just make a lot of dumb mistakes.
And regardless, my point is they almost beat Washington, right? They should have beat Washington. Would you not say they should have beat Washington?
But even
made dumb mistakes.
So even if they beat Washington, their record would be 5-2. It would be a fluffed up 5-2 record. Like this, not
fluffed up. You got Washington. You can go into your
bad teams. They beat bad teams.
But you got Washington at number 6.
So that doesn't redeem them the fact that they beat bad. They beat one good team.
But you can't say they're in the bottom 10 if they would have just closed it out and beat your top 10 team.
They're in the bottom of the division and they haven't even played any division games. 4 wins. They're going to be stuck at 4 wins for a while. I think they win next week because I think they play Arizona. And I picked them in. You have them losing. So I think that Chicago stays at 4 wins for a while. I don't think they're a good team. So, yeah, you can justify all you want, but I don't think they're.
I'm not trying to justify them.
You are. You're like, I put Chicago out, but they're not too far out. What?
They're not. You can't tell me they're that far out if they shouldn't be.
They are far
Washington,
out.
who you've had in your top 10 for like 3 straight weeks.
When I look at the stats,
if they lost a game, forget about stats.
Forget about stats.
Right?
You told me last week that it doesn't matter who they beat, and then they end up losing, and then Williams has a terrible game,
and Daniels had a terrible game.
Yeah, but
right?
He was hurt. He had rib injury.
But take the excuses out. Both these teams didn't play well. Washington got the win on a Hail Mary at home, right? They're not that much better than
and then you have
Chicago.
them losing
Chicago
against Arizona
because of their stupidity. So you can't say Washington is number 6, but Chicago's bottom 10 when Chicago should have won the game if it wasn't for ultimate stupidity at the end of the game.
So they're gonna go 4-4 according to you. They're gonna go 4-4, and you're still gonna have them in the top 15.
Absolutely. How many teams you think are gonna How many teams you think you're gonna have be 2 or 3 games over 500 this season?
How many teams?
Yeah, how many teams are you gonna have? You think are gonna have a 10-win, 11-win, 12-win season?
I mean,
5 maybe.
We already have one that's undefeated, and then we have 1, 2, 3. four teams that have 6 victories. So listen,
the point I'm making is
you need
a
wins.
lot of teams that are in the playoffs with like 9 or 10 wins, right? So
yeah, but they're last in their division. They're not gonna win the division, and what are they fight? What are they gonna go in? They're gonna get in based on wild card, but it's not. You can't get in with just a victory. There's no way.
Right now in the NFC.
And the NFC, if I'm looking at it, so you got Washington is in, you got Detroit is in, possibly the Packers are in, you got the Falcons, which is a bad division. They're probably gonna win it. And then we still don't know about the NFC West. Everyone has 4 wins, so everyone has the same amount of. Everyone has the same amount of wins as the Bears, but
one team for the NFC West, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, it's going to be one team. It has to be. Probably one team for the NFC South, right? And that, let's say it's Atlanta, they run away with it. Those are 2 guarantees, right? You got Detroit. You got Washington. Let's say Washington holds on and wins, right?
Yeah.
So now you got like 2 wild card teams, right? 2 wild card teams. So you got Green Bay, which I don't see them completely failing. You got Philly at 5-2. Do you trust Philly to just keep rolling?
I trust Philly roster better than Chicago's roster. Maybe Nick Sirianni and Matt are 2 bumblehead coaches, but I trust the Eagles' defense more than I trust Chicago's
defense.
Yes.
Well, I mean, compared to I don't trust either of their defense, to be quite honest with you. Chicago, I expected them to be a lot better. Eagles, I didn't expect anything from their defense. But my point is, I don't think Chicago's out of it, even with a 4th loss. There's still plenty of time left. I still think they're a top 15 team.
Not with the schedule ahead that they face.
We'll see.
We'll definitely see because
we'll find out about all these teams. Are they true, contenders, or a lot of these teams are they pretenders? We'll find out for sure.
Yeah, we'll find out for sure, but I don't think Chicago is in the mix, what I'm saying. So with my power rankings, I basically left it the same. The only thing is I took out Seattle and put in Buffalo. So I got Kansas City at number 1, Detroit, Buffalo, Green Bay, Houston, Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly, Baltimore, and Minnesota. I know they just lost, but I think that they'll bounce back. And now if they lose 3 in a row, then you can start hitting the panic button on Sam Darnold and saying it's over. But yeah, it's basically the same as yours, just put in different locations. But yeah, until someone knocks off Kansas City, to me, they're the number 1 on my list.
Yeah, I went back and forth with them. And this again, I think I filled this out. I filled this out after the Uche trade, but Kansas City still needs to play better on the offensive side of the ball. That's the part that worries me. Now, if they keep winning and have home field advantage, man, it's gonna be tough for any team to go into Kansas City in the playoffs and beat them. So, but listen, it's hard to argue against them being the number 1 team. They have been for years now. So I think they'll just get better. That's the scary thing with Kansas City. They're not playing that great now and they're still undefeated. They'll just get better. So
I agree. I agree 100%.